Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Last night at Trump Doral, where Donald Trump delivered an address to many of his fanboys.
Is that what you call it, an address? Is that what you call it, an address?
Yeah, so he did a rally and attended by many, many bed bugs because, as you know, Trump Doral has had a bed bugs problem naturally. And he said, you know what he said? He said this thing again where he said that if Russia wants to invade another European nation, he's just going to let them do it. He's going to encourage, and not just let them do it, but encourage them to do it. That is at least 1 billion times more destructive, catastrophic, and disqualifying than Joe Biden losing his train of thought.
Has there ever been a clearer day of compare and contrast with the president's very presidential, really amazing speech at NATO and Donald Trump? Someone did a several-page.
Oh yeah.
I can't even get through it, Bob. You know, because you listen to the zh for a living. That's close enough. That's all you need to know what Trump said yesterday.
Hannibal Lecter,
If you mute Trump while you're watching him on TV, if you mute the sound, it looks like he's going
with the accordion.
His noises.
Candace just said, or Art said, oh boy, Donald Trump's Doral rally tonight was a doozy. Let's recap it. He started off by bragging about his golf course instead of apologizing for being an hour late, leaving people all day under a heat advisory. He said he didn't know what NATO was. He bragged that being indicted is a lot of fun. He claimed that tens of thousands of people showed up to his sad little rally. He later said 45,000 people were there. Barely 2,000 were there. He froze like a deer in the headlight for 10 straight seconds. He praised Laura Loomer, repeatedly calling her amazing. I mean, on and on.
Oh, my God. And Jody knows this because I do this on my show all the time. Where are our priorities? I mean, my God, Donald Trump did you just listed a dozen things there that are disqualifying to not just be president, but of course, just be the nominee of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And all the scrutiny continues. We're now on day 13 of this ridiculous reaction to the debate, which is now, by the way, the reaction to the debate is doing far more damage than the actual debate itself.
We just said that yesterday. I mean, I was saying, I think what's hard is when it's your friends, when it's, a Rob Reiner or a Nancy Pelosi or an Adam Schiff. And again, Speaker Pelosi and Representative Schiff are not calling for him to step down. They're expressing concern. I mean, you have to go, A, okay, we're not in a cult. B, so, at least they're having the courage to say out loud what they're saying privately, so we're having hopefully one conversation. I love Michelle Reiner always says this at dinner parties. One conversation. Everybody shoot. One conversation.
Indoor voices. Yeah.
I've learned my dinner party skills from her. But, Bob, I think what Adam Schiff is saying, it's the same fear we all have is like, how could this even be close with a convicted felon rapist? And that is concerning.
I think a lot of it is driven by this notion that, well, a bunch of people are going to make a stupid decision on election day, so let's get them out of there so they don't make that decision. I got to tell you, I've been following the polls mistakenly for a long time now in this election cycle, observing how the events affect the numbers and so on. The reason it's so close is not because of what happened at that debate. And what we all know is what happens at a debate usually has an impact on the polls for about 5 days and then it goes away.
Yeah.
But what's been affecting the poll numbers, what's been affecting, and as insofar as they're accurate, I don't think they are. I think all the polls are janky to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's prices. People are concerned about prices, rent, groceries, gas prices. That's what's keeping it even. That's what's keeping people from recognizing that we are in the greatest economy in the world right now.
Inflation's down. Gas prices are down. This, by the way, July 4th, just top Memorial Day, is the biggest travel weekend ever. You're telling me no one has any money and the economy is terrible.
Yeah.
Biggest travel.
We're in the fight for our lives here, and for the last 13 days, it's been wasted. We got 118 days until election day. We just wasted 13 days on a thing that really would have no impact in November anyway. And that's 13 days when we could have been making a case for why prices are high, price gouging, and why Donald Trump will make inflation so much more worse through his tariffs and his deportations. This is wasted time at this point.
And that was such a good point and such horrible grammar. I could feel Chris just the grammar Nazi clench over there. So much, so much more bad worse. Listen, Bob, you tweeted, Biden's clearly not going to step aside, so continuing to flog this issue will inevitably lead to a contested convention to force him out, a thermonuclear disaster. How about we change the narrative, unify around attacking tyrant Trump? The RNC is next week. War faces normals. I love that you call us normals. That is what this election is going to be about. Normals.
I mean, it's a big tent coalition. It's not just Democrats. We've got some moderate Republicans in the mix in there too, and so forth. Progressives that don't necessarily identify as Democrats, independents, and so forth. So it's a matter of keeping everyone moving in the right direction. And I feel like a lot of times we're all running around grabbing people, tapping them on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, wait a second, over there. The real problem is that guy over there, not the good, decent man who had a terrible, terrible night on television 13 days ago." So
I know.
Let's maintain our focus here.
Everything seems so quaint. From a day ago, Bruce Bartlett, you reposted, said, "I think all people ever wanted from Biden was some fighting spirit. The debate made them fear he didn't have it. Now he seems to have found it." But again, there seems to be no, the list is endless. So now everything is focused on tomorrow. I think, who was it? Dino Badal, who was it where? Hold, please. Hang on. Mommy's a little disorganized this
what's
morning.
going on over there?
Normally you understand all of that. It's very strange for you not to understand it.
He said President Biden will be holding a solo press conference Thursday afternoon. That's tomorrow. We can safely predict it'll be the most dissected press conference in U.S. political history.
Oh, yes.
I mean, because Donald Trump gets held to no standard, and Joe Biden is being held to an impossible standard. Bob, do you agree?
Right. And look, suddenly my entire Twitter feed, for some reason, is filled up with neurologists. I mean, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I ended up in neurology Twitter.
What a stupid story.
Oh. He just signed legislation about Parkinson's disease.
Yes, of course. And also, President Biden wasn't even there for half the visits because he services the whole White House, not just the president. Anyway, but
don't get me started.
Don't do any basic journalism.
I feel like I've been channeling Eric Boehlert all this time. Because,
I know.
My God, if he had been around for all of this, he would his head would be exploding around the clock. Just a constant slow motion head explosion from Eric Boehlert. Because that New York Times piece is a great example of something that I've been observing for a long, long time, going all the way back to the reporting on the Snowden documents, for God's sake, in 2013, where the press, because it's under duress, because the mainstream press is suffering financially, they're now on this mission to not be accurate, but to be first for the sake of engagement, clicks, clout, shares, likes, retweets. And that is skewing journalistic integrity off into nothing.
And
I mean, it's...
By the way, because as you know, I don't know where I end and you begin. You've been saying the same thing I've been saying all week. You tweeted Trump dictated his medical record to Dr. Bornstein. The press just ate that. You said, why? Trump's bodyguard allegedly raided Bornstein's office, stealing records. Why? Ronnie Jackson clearly lied in the press room about Trump's medical exam. Why? Trump continues to lie about his many cognitive tests. Why? Press doesn't really ask. No follow-up.
You know why? Because they take it for granted. Because it's been completely normalized by now. Same with Donald Trump's fascism. It's just like, well, okay, boys will be boys. Trump's doing fascism again. There he goes. So why even bother? That's the default. So what happens is, like 10,000 Donald Trump things, 10,000 disqualifying Donald Trump things. Joe Biden's age gets amplified to the same level of controversy as those 10,000 Donald Trump things.
That's what I mean. We're in this. They've done 70 billion stories. So are you surprised this shows up in polling and this is hurting?
Right.
I mean, and that was, I guess, Adam Schiff's point is the president's age is, the only reason he thinks this could even be close. But again, the press is such a huge part of that. When you do 11 billion stories about it, are you shocked when it shows up in polling? I mean,
It shouldn't be. It's just absolutely absurd. What's happened was a lot of genuine concern. I was concerned. Everyone was concerned after that debate. What's going to happen? What the hell was that? What a phenomenal blunder that was. But then it becomes a persuasive effort from, I think, a lot of people who are otherwise allies and a lot of people in the mainstream press, where they're now seeming to want to persuade voters to believe that Joe Biden's too old to be president. And that is dangerous because that puts us in a different territory. It's not just reporting the news now. You've got an agenda, and your agenda is to undermine the only person who is standing between us and fascism. The only viable candidate who can stop Donald Trump. And statistically, that is true. The data does not show that anyone else, including Kamala Harris, can defeat Donald Trump. Only Joe Biden has a chance to do that. And I think upsetting the apple cart, changing horses midstream, I'll throw in a few more cliches here, is a phenomenal mistake. 1968 should be a gigantic lesson for every Democrat. We don't want to do that again.
Thank you. And the media,
that gave us Nixon. Yeah.
You know, it's bigger than just these two guys, Bob. You just retweeted a headline. So ironic. This is Brian Stelter. But so ironically, Project 2025, even though it scares a lot of liberals, is actually a forward-looking plan. And you're like, and Mein Kampf is a real page turner. We're just.
Oh my God.
They're normalizing everything. Like, it's just another governing plan.
Again, boys will be boys. Project 2020. Well, look, it's forward look. But I've never heard anything. I've never heard Project 2025 described like that by anyone in the category of normal. I guess Brian Stelter is no longer a normal, but to regard that document as being forward looking, that just, that sends the signal to every viewer looking in, every casual viewer walking past the television as it happens, to go, I guess it's whatever. It's forward. I guess that's positive. Project 20. Why not? The other guy's old, so let's go with the thing that's forward-looking, the fascism, the authoritarianism that we're going to derp our way into in November.